Everyone tells you success is about hard work. Hustle more. Wake up earlier. Grind harder. But here's what no one's saying: some of the hardest working people you know are still broke, burned out, and stuck as hell. Why? Because there's something deeper, something most people never figure out until it's way too late. It's not about effort. It's not even about talent. It's about one thing that's quietly running your life in the background. And the craziest part, you've been carrying it around for years without knowing. Once you see it, you can unsee it. And once you fix it, everything shifts. So let me ask you, what if the real reason you're stuck is something you've never even questioned? You ever had that gut feeling you were meant for more, but every time you try to start, it feels like the world is 10 steps ahead of you, like everybody else got some special manual for how to win, and you're stuck fumbling in the dark? Yeah, been there. And the truth is, that feeling doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're awake. And being awake is where real growth begins. See, we grow up thinking that success is about talent, about getting your big break, about someone discovering you. But the truth, success has less to do with the spotlight and everything to do with what you do before the spotlight ever finds you. The reason most people fail is because they ignore the boring stuff, the unsexy stuff, the daily disciplines, the hard truths, the voice in your head that says maybe I should try a little harder today. And the one that answers back, nah, just chill. I used to think being talented was enough. Talent without habits is a ticking time bomb. And the worst part is, it explodes slowly. You don't feel failure coming until it's already got its hands around your potential. Let me ask you this: when was the last time you looked at your habits and asked if they actually deserve the future you're dreaming about? Because dreaming is free, but becoming, that costs everything. I had to learn that showing up for yourself when nobody's watching is what separates the almost made it's from the ones who actually do. I had to learn that motivation fades, but systems stay. That habits aren't just about doing, they're about becoming. And you don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your systems. So if you feel stuck right now, if you feel like you're failing, like you're falling behind, ask yourself this: what am I ignoring? What small truth am I pretending doesn't matter just because it's inconvenient? Because I promise you, the thing you keep pushing to tomorrow is the thing deciding your future. I failed publicly. I failed privately. But the people who build a success mindset, they fail forward. They study their failure. They grow from it. And more than anything, they stop ignoring it. You know how people always say everything happens for a reason? Yeah, but sometimes that reason is because we ignore what mattered one too many times. But here's the twist: what if failure is not your enemy? What if it's your compass? What if the very thing you've been avoiding is exactly where your next breakthrough lives? Stay with me, because I'm about to share something most people never hear about failure. It's the one shift that separates people who keep falling from the ones who finally rise. And it starts with one thing: facing the invisible. Let's go deeper. When people talk about failure, they act like it's this final destination, like once you failed, that's it. Game over. But here's what they don't get: failure isn't a wall, it's a mirror. It shows you exactly what's working and what isn't. And most people don't fail because they hit the mirror. They fail because they look away from it. Let me break this down. We're taught to chase motivation like it's the answer, to watch another hype video, to read another quote. But here's the truth: motivation doesn't work without direction. You can be fired up and still be running in circles. You can be inspired and still build habits that sabotage your future. Why? Because if you don't understand what's behind your failure, you'll just repeat it in new clothes. Think of it like this: imagine trying to build a house. But instead of laying bricks on a foundation, you're stacking them on sand. Every brick is effort, every brick is hustle. When no matter how hard you work, the house keeps falling apart. That's what it's like building a life without understanding the deeper habits that drive your actions. I had to learn the hard way you can't outwork a broken system. You can't hustle your way out of habits that are secretly sabotaging you. So here's a question you gotta ask yourself, and I mean really sit with it. Am I operating from fear or from clarity? Because failure isn't just about what you do. It's about why you do it. Some people work hard not because they're hungry, but because they're scared. Scared of being average. Scared of being forgotten. Scared of not being enough. But here's the catch. Fear can push you, but it can also trap you. When everything you do is about proving yourself, you're not building a life, you're building a performance. And the applause never lasts long enough. You want to know the secret behind a success mindset? It's not about how much you do. It's about how honest you are with yourself. And let me tell you, that kind of honesty, that's rare. That's what most people ignore. Because it's hard to admit that maybe, just maybe, you've been the one holding yourself back. Now listen, this ain't about blaming yourself. This is about claiming yourself, claiming your power, owning your patterns, facing the little things you keep pretending don't matter. The snooze, the alarm, the skipped workout, the promises you make to yourself and quietly break when no one's looking. That's where failure starts, in the invisible, but it's also where success begins. Because once you can see it, you can shift it. Look, I've stood on red carpets. I've held awards. I've had people scream my name in rooms packed wall to wall. But none of that means anything if I lose the quiet war with myself. I remember a time where I did everything people said meant success, but I couldn't sleep at night because I knew I was ignoring certain truths. Little things I was brushing off. Habits I thought didn't matter, but they did. They always do. You ever seen someone who has all the talent in the world, but they just can't get it together? They keep starting and stopping. They flash and fade. They almost make it almost. That's what happens when you chase success without building the mindset to carry it. That's what happens when you focus on the result and ignore the foundation. Let me give you something real. There's a woman I met years ago. She had every reason to quit. Came from nothing. Raised the kids alone. Worked to J's. No degrees. No handouts. But every day, she had one rule: no 0 days. Didn't matter how tired she was. Didn't matter what went wrong. She did one thing every day that aligned with her future. Some days that was a 5-minute journal. Some days it was sending one email. Some days it was just not quitting. And after years of that, she didn't just survive. She became. She built her own business. She grew. She thrived. Not because she was lucky, but because she stopped ignoring the invisible. She realized that success isn't one big moment. It's a million little ones. So if you're waiting for your big break, if you're thinking success is some magical moment coming someday, let me hit you with this. It's already here. It's in how you wake up. It's in what you say to yourself when you fail. It's in what you choose to do when no one's watching. Most people fail because they ignore this, but you don't have to. You can shift, you can choose, and you can start by deciding that your small habits matter. Because they do. Let's get brutally honest now. Success doesn't come to the smartest. It doesn't come to the luckiest. It doesn't even come to the most talented. It comes to the ones who stay with it when everything in them wants to quit. That's the part people ignore, not because they don't know it, but because it's hard. And here's the thing we've been conditioned to chase is to chase comfort, to chase results that come fast. But nothing real comes fast. You don't grow muscle in a week. You don't build character in a weekend. You don't go from failure to success by flipping a switch. You grind. You learn. You unlearn. And you do it again. One of the biggest shifts in my life came when I stopped asking, how can I get there faster? And started asking, how can I build something that lasts? Because I'd gotten there before fast. I had the movie deals, the money, the headlines. But parts of me were hollow. Not because I didn't work hard, but because I skipped steps inside. You see, most people fail not because they fall, but because they never built the inner strength to stand up differently after they did. It's easy to win when everything's working. But life doesn't test you there. Life tests you in the dark. Life tests you when you're tired, when your plan didn't work, when your effort didn't pay off the way you thought it would. And here's the wild part, that moment of disappointment, that's where you grow. That's where the success mindset is built, not in the high, but in the rebuild. I had to learn how to love the process more than the outcome. I had to stop chasing the applause and start chasing alignment. Because when you're aligned with who you're becoming, you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You become undeniable. Let's talk about something real quick: habits. People underestimate them like crazy. They think a habit is just a task, something you check off a list, but not a habit is your identity in motion. It's the proof of what you really believe about yourself. If your habits say avoid discomfort, you're training your mind to shrink. If your habits say do it even when you don't feel like it, you're building inner leadership. You're telling your future, I'll be ready. Let me give you another real example. There's this woman I met who went from cleaning hotel bathrooms to managing luxury resorts. You know how she did it. She made her bed perfectly every morning. That's where it started. You might laugh, but might think that's too small. But she said, I wanted to master something. I couldn't control everything, but I could control how I showed up. One habit, one simple act of excellence that trained her to expect more from herself, to stop ignoring the small stuff, to walk with confidence in rooms that used to intimidate her. She became a leader long before the title ever came. And that's the difference. That's what most people miss. Most people fail because they think their future is built on big decisions. It's not. It's built on small patterns. Let me say that again, your future is not built by big decisions. It's built by small patterns repeated with purpose. And if your current patterns don't match your future dreams, something's gotta change. The good news, you don't need a new year. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait until Monday. You just need one moment, this moment, to decide. I will not ignore myself anymore. You want personal growth? Then you gotta stop outsourcing your power. No more waiting on the right opportunity. No more waiting on someone to notice you. No more waiting until everything feels ready. Because ready doesn't show up. You show up tired. You show up afraid. You show up imperfect, but you show up anyway. Success mindset isn't about being fearless. It's about being faithful to your vision, your values, your grind. And motivation, that's not some lightning bolt that hits you. That's the byproduct of seeing your life align with your efforts. It grows when your actions start to reflect the person you actually want to be. So ask yourself right now, what do my habits say about me? What does my discipline say about my dreams? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good. Lean in. That's the invitation. Most people fail because they ignore this. But the second you stop ignoring, the second you take responsibility for every inch of your life, you stop failing passively. And you start growing intentionally. That's the shift. That's where power lies. Now let's take it even deeper. See, growth is not just about effort. It's about awareness. You can try hard every single day, but if you're blind to the reasons behind your choices, you're building your future with your eyes closed. Most people fail not because they don't want success, but because they never stop to ask themselves what success really means to them. Let me hit you with this. Are you chasing a life you truly desire? Or are you chasing a life that just looks good on Instagram? Because the moment you define success by other people's approval, you surrender your power. And when that happens, even your wins will feel empty. That's the part that eats sad people in silence. That's the quiet failure nobody talks about. It's not the dramatic crash. It's the slow erosion of purpose. It's waking up every day doing things that don't align with your values and calling it success because it pays the bills or earns claps. But claps fade, purpose doesn't. I had to learn to stop chasing more and start chasing meaning. Well, fame, more money, more attention. That road never ends. And it'll burn you out while convincing you you're on fire. Let me tell you about a moment that changed everything for me. It wasn't on stage. It wasn't at a movie premiere. It wasn't some massive award. It was a quiet night. Everyone was asleep. I was staring at the ceiling, thinking, if this is success, why do I feel so disconnected from myself? It hit me hard. I was performing life instead of living it. And that's a trap so many people fall into. You follow a script written by fear, by expectation, by should-s. But what about what you want? What about your joy, your peace, your freedom? That's personal growth. That's what a success mindset actually leads to, not just performance, but alignment. Let me talk to the heart for a second. If you're a woman in your 20s or 30s, you've probably been handed 1,000 definitions of what you should be by now. Hey job, hey look, hey relationship, a number in your bank account, a version of perfection no one really lives. But hear me loud, you do not owe the world your perfection. You owe yourself your truth. And the truth is, most people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they spent years trying to be someone they were never meant to be. You don't grow into success by becoming someone else. You grow into success by becoming more of yourself. But that means letting go. Letting go of comparisons. Letting go of timelines. Letting go of everything you do just to avoid judgment. Success isn't about being loved by everyone. It's about being able to look yourself in the mirror and know you didn't abandon your potential. It's about being honest when something isn't working, even if it makes you uncomfortable. It's about asking better questions. What's draining me? What's fueling me? What patterns have I accepted just because I was afraid to confront them? Because let me be real with you, your habits will decide your future. Your patterns are the architecture of your life. You can't build a masterpiece out of bricks you refuse to inspect. And some of you are carrying beliefs that were handed to you in childhood. You're not good enough. You're too much. You don't have what it takes. Those lies, they've got roots. And if you don't dig them up, they'll keep growing into your adult decisions. Personal growth is not just about adding. It's about subtracting what no longer serves you. It's about removing everything that muffles your voice and dims your fire. You want motivation? Then stop waiting to feel ready. Start creating rituals that wake up your power. Wake up and journal your fears, not to wallow in them, but to own them. Move your body. Drink water like it's medicine. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for loving. You want to change your life. Change how you treat yourself when no one's around, because that is where transformation happens. Not in public, but in the private moments that nobody claps for. Now let me say this, you are not behind. They're not broken. But if you want something different, you got to do something different. And here's the best part, you can start anytime. Even now, even after all the delays, even after all the self-doubt. Most people fail because they ignore this. But you're not most people because you're still here, still listening, still showing up. And that means there's more in you, more strength, more power. More future. Keep going, because the next shift in your life might not be loud. It might not look dramatic, but it will be yours. And that's what makes it priceless. Let's land this, but not like a softy goodbye. More like a fist on the table. Good wake-up call, because this is the moment most people miss. They get inspired. They nod their heads. They feel the fire rising. And then they do nothing. They let that fire burn out because they don't act on it. They don't tanker it. They let it float away like every other good intention that came before. But I'm telling you right now, if you've made it this far, it's not by accident. It's not because you're curious. It's because something in your spirit knows you're meant for more. You're not just here to survive. You're to create, to evolve, to shape your world, not just live inside it. But you can't do that with your foot halfway on the gas and halfway on the brake. You have to choose. You either build the life you want, you accept the one that keeps happening to you. Let me ask you this. When you wake up tomorrow, who are you going to be? Not 5 years from now. Not once you have it all together. I mean tomorrow, because the future doesn't ask for your permission. It shows up based on the choices you make now. Most people fail because they ignore this. Every little thing you do is a vote for the life you're building. How you talk to yourself when you make a mistake that matters. How you spend your first 10 minutes of the day that matters. What you believe about failure that matters. What you do after you get rejected that matters even more. You can have a setback and still grow forward. You can feel like quitting and still keep walking. That's what makes the difference between people who wish and people who become. Now hear this, your life is not a mistake. You were not made to play small. You were not made to sit on your potential like it's too fragile to use. You are not glass. You are iron. You get sharper every time you get hit. You get stronger every time you keep going. You don't just survive failure, you learn how to use it. That's the truth most people ignore. They think success is just about avoiding pain. But it's not. It's about building the kind of resilience that pain can't shake. So here's what I need you to remember. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the voice in your head that tells you it's too late. You are what you decide to do next. You want habits that stick. Build them like rituals. Not chores, commitment. Show up even when it's boring. Show up especially when no one's watching. That's where the real success lives. Not in the big applause, but in the quiet, consistent, unshakable choices that align with the person you're becoming. You want to change your life. Start right where you are. Start small. Start deliberate. Write down what you want clearly. Create one habit that supports it, one that repeat it. Protect it. Don't negotiate with it, because that one habit is the crack in the dam. Once it breaks through, everything changes. Let me tell you something I wish someone told me earlier. You don't have to prove yourself to be worthy. You're worthy, your worth is not up for negotiation. What's negotiable is what you do with it. So know you're not broken. You're not failing. You're waking up. And when you wake up, everything changes. Most people fail because they ignore this. But you listen. You stayed with it. You've got a choice now that most never see. You can either go back to the version of yourself that fits the comfort zone, or you can step into the version of yourself that leads the future. So choose power. Choose responsibility. Choose now. This is not the end. This is your next beginning. We are wisdom recorded, your knowledge source. If this stirred something inside you, subscribe, like, and share this with someone who needs to wake up to.